Whether we like it or not, we are currently taking part in something monumental. I'm talking about, of course, the technological era we all currently inhabit. This historical era of digital media is one that will be talked about for years to come and is far from over. With the invention of the smartphone and the endless easy access to information, it is hard to tell if this era of technology will ever end. Smartphones have become some of the most popular devices across the globe, and we all currently reap the pros and cons of wielding such devices. I do not have to sit here and convince you all of the positive aspects of these devices, as I am sure you are aware of the many capabilities they possess. Rather, I'm more interested in the negatives. As more research becomes available to us, we become better equipped with the necessary knowledge to truly weigh the impacts and implications that come with the use of these smartphones. Today, there are 3.5 billion smartphone users worldwide, and that number is constantly growing. Just 4 short years ago, in 2016, the number of users was a billion less than now. Not only are the number of users growing, but the time we spend on our devices is steadily increasing as well. The average time an adult spends on their smartphone is 2 hours and 55 minutes per day. I have been a smartphone user for years now and have seen these same tendencies affecting my own health along with my peers around me. I invite you to analyze your own use and how it may be affecting your daily life. As it turns out, regulating your daily use can do wonders for your mood and overall mental health. In many ways, this relentless amount of time we spend on our devices causes our bodies to suffer both physically and mentally. The negative impacts of smartphones affect teenagers and young adults the most. Because they have more free time and oftentimes have less responsibilities, teens tend to spend more time on their phones compared to their parents and elders. According to a survey conducted in the UK, teens who spend more than 5 hours a day on electronic devices are 71% more likely to exhibit suicide risk factors such as depression, anxiety, and feelings of hopelessness. Unfortunately, they are not the only ones. A similar survey was conducted for the adults of these children, which found that 46% of their parents claim to feel addicted to their own devices as well. The point is that we are all spending far too much time on our phones, and it's deeper than just a common way to pass the time. According to a study led by Eric Pepper and Richard Harvey at San Francisco State University, overuse of smartphones is exactly like all other forms of substance abuse. They found that smartphone addiction forms connections in the brain that are directly synonymous with drug abuse. The scary part is that this process happens over time and the connections come and go gradually. The only way to break these connections is to separate yourself from the device and break the dependency. In this day and age, it is very hard to break common tendencies because smartphones have become such a pivotal aspect of our lives. We even replace time at social events with time scrolling or searching on our phones. It seems we're all willingly using these devices at monumental paces, yet don't seem to have a problem with it. Yes, there have been campaigns to try and combat smartphone usage, especially with children, but statistically speaking, change is not occurring. Adults are addicted, mental health in the teenage community is at an all-time low, and our brains are literally being rewired by our devices. The good news is that it doesn't have to be our reality. To tell you the truth, I have nothing against smartphones themselves. They have so many positive attributes that can really help improve our lives if used properly. The problem with our devices is the compulsive and constant use of them, which has been globally normalized to create a dependency among users. I would understand if smartphone addiction could be overlooked if its downfalls were minor, but we are quite literally taking life or death in these cases. According to Charles Fain at IFS, the spread of smartphones and media usage in the teenage community has heavily increased depression levels and suicide rates for people ages 12 to 17. We see this across the board with directly increasing with the release of the iPhone and social media apps. While these statistics are daunting, that's not the end of the story. All we have to do is start to combat our addictive tendencies when it comes to our phones. It's time to regulate the time we spend on our devices and become conscious of the effect that they have on our physical and mental health. The good news is this step in the right direction can look many different ways. A big one for teens can be as simple as hanging out with friends more often. According to a study reported on by CNN, there was a steady decline in the amount of times per week teenagers would hang out with their friends directly after the release of the iPhone back in 2007. This trend remains true to today, as it is a great example of how teens are beginning to replace normal human interactions with that of their phones. This is all it really takes. All one has to do is to look at the studies being done across the globe and look inward. If we all start to realize our own dependencies and bad habits revolving around our phones, we can all take a step in the right direction, curing our addictions. Another way to eliminate the time we spend on our phones is by the use of built-in features such as Do Not Disturb, available on most modern smartphones. Sometimes it's as simple as eliminating the incoming notifications or news on our phones to give our brains a break. With little steps like this, we will have much more time to do the things that we enjoy and break the bond we have with our phones. Remember, these devices are only as powerful as we allow them to be. If we continue down this path that we are on now, there's no telling where we'll end up. All of the statistics and data previously discussed are only getting worse and show no signs of changing, especially in regard to our mental health. According to the IDC, smartphone usage and data availability is only going to get better in the next few years, and it will make spending time on our phones even easier. Although this sounds good from a technological standpoint, this only leaves more room for addiction. Alongside the growth of 5G networks will be depression levels, suicide rates, and overall time spent on our personal devices. Imagine a world where these statistics continue. The mental health of humans will continue to plummet as our technology becomes more prevalent in our lives. It's no longer enough to just talk about it. It's time to change our lives and ignite global change. As stated before, the changes we need to make are nothing crazy. All it takes is a little initiative, like going out of your way to make interactions in person rather than virtual, or perhaps going outside or doing an activity every time your brain tells you to check your phone. That alone might be enough to break the habit. Possibly even replacing your online books with real ones is all it will take for you to improve your mental health. As far as our youth, the best course of action will be to stop the addictive brain connection before it ever starts. The most important thing is to regulate how much time they spend on our phones along with our own. If we are able to make these small changes in our lives, it is without a doubt that we will begin to walk in the right direction and take back the power that many of us have given to our devices. Thank you.